Hi, everybody, and welcome to Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. I'm your host, Emmy Hernandez. No matter your age, it's never too late or too early to start thinking about making your money work for you. But where to start? That's why I'm here. I'm excited to lay out some key steps to help you save, grow, and invest your money in the smartest way possible. Today's topic, retirement expenses. Do you know what you will spend during retirement? Coming up right here on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez today, a special guest, Drue Lawler. Unlike golf, there's no mulligans in retirement planning. When you retire, you cannot come back and recalculate your expenses. You have to be prepared. So that's why today we're going to talk about how to plan for that. And I have Drue Lawler here. Hi, Drue.
Hi, Emmy.
Thank you for coming and being here with us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about, how American today, before their retirement, they're not really prepared. They don't think of what they are going to spend during retirement. Or maybe they think about it, but there's so many things that people are commonly overlook. Okay, so I know that you work with you are coaching and you work with a lot of people in business. So you probably come across these conversations like, oh yeah, I want to retire here and when. What do they normally think about when they talk about retirement?
They don't.
That's a thing, okay.
That's part of the problem. I work with some interior designers and we try to get them to think about their business. If they own their own business, are they prepared to sell it? And most of them just figure they're going to lock the door and walk away. And yet that's an investment that they had in that business.
Right.
And then with aging, I also was an interior designer. And so working with people as they age, they don't think about their home and will it work for them throughout retirement. And as their health may change or their needs may change, will the house work for them?
Sure. I think that, because I work with a lot of clients who retire already, I found that during my practice, I found like the 6 area that are most common overlooked by people that going toward retirement. Okay. And we always try to, when we do a retirement planning, we always sit down and try to bring this topic up at least for about five years prior to their retirement time frame. Okay, and number one most common mistake or common overlook is actually the healthcare cost.
Oh, yeah, that's huge, I'm sure.
Yeah, because people don't think that, maybe they think that, okay, when I retire, I will have Medicare. But when you retire, you mostly be on your own. With Medicare alone might not cover everything.
And you probably have more health needs, and that can happen when you're older.
Right.
And that's the thing people don't think about because they think 5 years out. So if I'm fine now, I'm going to be fine forever. True. They don't think about just even tripping on the steps on their way up to their house or twisting their ankle or breaking a leg or something more serious. So they don't think about that healthcare. That's true.
Yeah, and the healthcare cost could have to be one bucket, in their financial planning to have money available. If you do not have health insurance, for example, that supplement to the regular Medicare, okay, you may have to plan. I mean, a couple today, 65 years old, for their life expectancy could well be spending, statistics show like over $265,000 in healthcare costs. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
Well, and it can be more if they end up having to go into assisted living, even independent if it's a continuing retirement care community.
Sure.
And that can be, up to $20,000 a month or more.
Right. And then another thing that brings to another topic too, when you're talking about having to move into facility somewhere. The second thing most commonly overlooked is the cost of housing during retirement. Because a lot of time people think, well, I'm retired and the house is paid for, right? So I'm just going to stay here forever. I don't have to move anymore. I don't have no mortgage payment. But you know what? Not just the mortgage payment, you still have to do the maintenance of your house, right? You still have to pay the property tax. So that's still expenses that you have to put into the budget. How would you, plan for all those expenses that are coming up right away, right?
Well, it is important because otherwise you're going to have less money so you don't have money to enjoy life.
Right. And you mentioned like if you have to move, or well, let's say you have a health issues, you have a health issue, you have to go to hospital. Now you're gonna come back home. You may have to make some arrangement. You have to make changing some of your housing, right? As an interior designer, can you talk a little bit more about that? How much it costs to do that?
One of the big things is getting into your house, in and out. So if there's stairs, if you can plan ahead to have a stepless entry somewhere in your house where you can landscape the pathway up to your house to eliminate those stairs. Probably, so that's important because you've got to be able to get into the house. Once you're in the house, the most important room is the bathroom. And because for older homes, the bathroom's not wide enough. So if you end up with a walker or a wheelchair, even if it's only temporary, you can't get in and out of the bathroom. And so I know a lot of people, and that meant that they could not come back home once they ended up in the hospital.
Wow. Okay. So if they can come back home and have to go in the facility, that's another topic that we're going to talk about later. But in order to just aging period, and you have to kind of make some amendment or changing to your house or living situation, that's quite a bit, right? I mean, the budget that you have to put in construction and things like that. And if you think about moving, what about that? I mean, if you think not, I don't know. A lot of my clients even thinking about moving out of state. No, not here. Maybe go closer to their family member and other state, or even here, but downsizing from your current position to a smaller home. But that still entail a lot of expenses.
There's still expenses. I mean, I'm thinking about that as far as leaving the state to make my money go further. But then I've got to think, too, about the cost to get to that place. So I have to think about the moving costs as well as the new home and all of those kinds of things.
See, so that's a lot of things. That's why I'm saying it's these little nuances that you never thought about.
You need someone like you to really guide them through, to get people to think about those things ahead of time until it's too late. Not until it's too late.
Yeah, that's why a lot of times this topic should come up at least 5 years before retirement.
Or
to kind of
longer.
looking at a longer. Well, a lot of time people don't think beyond 5 years, right?
No, that's the problem.
We were talking about that earlier. Yeah, and then the next item that a lot of people also overlook, it's about their spending habit. Their when they retire, they tend to have much more free time. So they tend to pick up a lot of other things to do, and that costs money too. So hold that thought. We are going to come back and touch upon all these new hobbies.
Retirement's getting closer and closer, but admit it, you're still putting off the planning, right? EH Financial can help you plan ahead to sustain your golden years. Our wealth management and financial planning services are growing in the San Gabriel Valley. And because everyone's situation is different, we'll come up with an investment, estate, or tax plan that works for you. Stop procrastinating. Call us today or visit our website, ehfinancial.com. Don't worry, we'll be there for you every step of the way.
Don't try to fight the system and the social worker by yourselves. Call me first. I'm trial lawyer attorney Vincent Davis, and I have about 30 years of experience in fighting in juvenile dependency court for families and their parents. And I've won hundreds of cases, reuniting parents with their children in sometimes days, not weeks, months, or in some cases years. When it's time to battle the social worker and the juvenile court system, give me a call. We can help you. Call 888-888-6582 or visit us on the web at helpfightcps.com. Let's get your children back now.
Welcome back to Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. Still here with me, Drue Lawler. Hey, Drue, last segment we were talking about a couple of things that people usually overlook in terms of expenses to when they plan for their retirement. And we were, have our thought hold off on the expenses for new hobbies and stuff, entertainment and hobbies, right? Because I know that my client, experienced with my client that once they retire, they have too much free time. They said too much free time, a lot of time on their hand. So they don't know what to do. So they're starting picking up new hobbies such as maybe play golf quite a few times a week, or some of my friends, tennis, or some of my friends even go like, ballroom dancing and start on the competition, which is got a lot more expenses to do.
Experience,
right? Yes. So what do you have? What do you think in this area?
Oh, I see it happening all the time. I mean, they may join different organizations and it may be volunteer. True. But it still can involve expenses. And so it's something that they weren't doing before because they were too busy working, earning money.
Exactly.
And now they're suddenly on a fixed income spending more money.
Right. Busy spending money now. Right. Yeah. So all these things can add up, right? And not only that, I mean, a hobby such as, tennis, golf, have a little expenses. Sometimes you even
Or painting.
painting.
Exactly.
So all little thing adds up. And when you look at that, you also have to think long-term longevity, just like your regular fixed expenses, right? Because this thing also have inflation tap into that.
True.
How long are you gonna spend time for this thing? If it's gonna be some serious hobby that you want to kind of get good at it over the next 5 years, 10 years, so you have to add all those inflation to that also. What about pets?
Oh, yes.
Companion, right?
And what about the sudden expensive emergency trips to the vet?
Correct.
Exactly. Yes, we've both been there.
I know. Well, those are your babies, so you want to take care of them. But when you were working, a lot of time you crazy busy schedule, it doesn't allow you to have this little companion. But when you retire, it's like, oh, now I'm ready, right? My kids are out of the house, so the house kind of like, I'm getting a little bit lonely, so maybe the little creature will give us some. But then it's kind of bring in another family member.
It is.
Yeah.
Because those are, a lot of times people forget that they get illnesses just like we do. And so it's an expense.
Yeah, some people even have to buy pet insurance, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then if they travel and they have to get a dog sitter, that's another thing.
Yeah, so the kennel and everything else. Yeah. So that's entertainment and, companionship or thing to spending during the free time. It's also another items that you must add in when you plan for your retirement expenses. Just don't okay, just looking at just the fixed expenses that don't have any money to spare for that. Okay, so that's one that people overlook. The next one also, we talk a little bit about this, that sometimes with the health issue that people have, they went into surgery or whatever and they can't come home anymore because their house wasn't designed for, or make an adjustment for that.
They may be in a wheelchair permanently.
Right.
Or even temporarily, or a walker, and they can't access their home.
Yeah, and then they have to go to like facility, maybe assisted living or whatever. The cost of that is very expensive, right? Yeah, it's. I think statistics show that 70% of Americans really don't plan for those type of care. And if you're looking, I don't know, I mean, in California, I know that assisted living, you're gonna plan to spend at least about a minimum of $4,000 a month. That's just like nothing. That's barely nothing.
That's not included. Usually that's independent living.
Right.
And that's on the low end. So if you add in assisted living and then let's say one of the partners needs memory care, you've got two expenses going on.
Right. So it can really go up to like maybe $10,000 a month easily for that. That's just like, assisted living. But if you have a condition that really go into the long-term facility, that can even cost even more.
$15,000 to $20,000 easy a month.
Yeah, a month. And you think about how long you spend time in that. When people go into long-term care, statistics show that, with back into that, you're still gonna linger there for at least about an average about 4 years. So that costs a lot of money. What if you stay longer with inflation? So that's why long-term care expenses is one of the big, item that people overlook.
And it's something that's hard to plan for because you don't think it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And you don't know how long you'll need that money. So that's very important.
Well, sad, it's true, but especially for us women, we tend to
Yes.
live longer
Yes.
and really nobody gonna take care of us because our partner gone. So, so you really have to plan. And I recommend my client to really look into long-term care insurance. I know it's not like something that cheap, but if you look into it early enough, especially like when you're in your late 50 or early 60, you still can get a very good reasonable price for it. But if you wait too long, it's going to be very expensive. And there's so many type of long-term care too, so you have to be very careful in terms of looking and
yes.
picking the right one. Okay, so that's one thing. Another items that people overlook also is taxes. Right? Because
Yes,
taxes,
it's so depressing.
well, they say death and taxes, but we don't want to talk about that yet. Let's talk about taxes. Well, because we think that, oh, wow, by the time I retire, my income will be lower and on a fixed income basis, so my taxes should be very small. And it shouldn't, it should be less than what I'm working. But to their surprise, tax can be even more because most of the time, right now, most Americans, their biggest asset is actually their retirement plan. They accumulated money, throughout their working career, right? So when the time comes for their retirement, all those money that used to be tax deferred needs to be taxable now. It's to be taxed by the IRS now. So all the distribution, all the income coming out, they have this baggage, tied into that and say taxes.
Right.
And then because they don't have mortgage, they don't have a lot of deductions. So instead of itemized deduction that used to bring down some taxable income, now they don't have that. So the tax return are very simple, but that also means less deduction, more income, tax could be higher.
Well, and then the thing is that a lot of times there's additional taxes that are passed that you would not have planned for, whether it be on gasoline or whether it be on, text messaging or whatever.
Oh, boy.
So
Yeah.
those are things that it can be very scary because suddenly your expenses are growing and your income isn't.
I think there's something that you can never really plan for it. But if you're looking at the trend though, for forever long, 30, 40 years, tax is always going to go up. So that is one item that I tell my client not to just rely on that lower income will be lower taxes. Okay, so there's still one more thing that we're going to talk about when we come back.
Retirement's getting closer and closer, but admit it, you're still putting off the planning, right? Financial can help you plan ahead to sustain your golden years. Our wealth management and financial planning services are growing in the San Gabriel Valley. And because everyone's situation is different, we'll come up with an investment, estate, or tax plan that works for you. Stop procrastinating. Call us today or visit our website, ehfinancial.com. Don't worry, we'll be there for you every step of the way.
At the IMTC, we've trained regular working people like you and turned them into TV stars. Just ask Brian Loftus.
And thank you, CCN, for all that you did for me. Signing off, Brian Loftus. Back to you, Tammy.
Natalie Tavidian.
When I was hired here in my first commercial market, they loved that I had that live experience, and that is just priceless for anybody trying to get into this industry.
Tracy Leon.
I think that any investment in Crown City News' program is a benefit to the community and to journalists starting out.
And many more. Those folks and others are now working in their dream TV careers, and you can too. We train kids, teens, and adults professional storytelling on TV and on social media. Call 626-344-8314 to join the International Media Training Center today.
Back here on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez, we're still talking about retirement expenses. Drue, we talk a lot about a lot of items that people overlook when they're planning their retirement expenses. I still have one important overlooked item.
the last
this is very important, and most of the people never thought about this, okay? Is the gift to your adult children.
Oh.
When I talk about gift, it's not just
gift
like
that
Christmas
keeps
gift or
on
nothing.
giving.
Exactly. That's what it is. Like, you never planned. You thought that, okay, you raise your children, they successfully, move on with their life, get married, have their own family. You thought that, oh, well, this is it. I really don't have to. All the money should be mine now. But amazingly, these days, you have a lot of situation where your
There
children
they
may
are,
come
back at your front door.
right? Right. It could be because their, economies, they lost their job or something, they come back, and then that's other expenses that you never planned for.
And then they may be coming, or it may be a divorce, and they're coming back with the kids and the pets
And the pets, yes.
and the lack of storage, and so yeah, that's a huge expense.
Uh-huh.
It can be.
Yeah. Well, a lot of time it's not just because they coming and asking for, but I know that with my client, it's just because being a parent, you want to help. You wanted to help, even if they don't ask. You will sometimes you feel the need. Could you spend a little bit more time with your grandchildren now? And you feel like, oh wow, I really connected with my grandchildren. Now I want to start to help them. You want to send them to college. You want to pay for so many things.
Or sometimes I know they may not have come back to live with you, but you're helping them with their mortgage and
Oh,
helping, them in that way.
Right.
Or with if there's a divorce and you're helping them with childcare, or both of them have to go back to work, and so you're helping them with childcare. So yeah, those are big expenses.
I know.
Definitely, especially I know that some of my clients, when their children run into the situation where they lost their job or something, and they happen to have bad credit now because of financial mistake that they had made. They couldn't qualify for the house, for example,
True.
but the parents still wanted to help them purchase a home. This is a very important thing, and you have to be very aware and mindful of this. Many people may put themselves into a situation where they co-sign the loan, the mortgage.
Yes.
Okay, think about it. You take on a liability when you already retired, which is the stage of life that you should not be taking any liability anymore.
Because what we talked about before was long-term care. They may have taken on this liability, and then suddenly they need help and they need more money to be able to put towards long-term care.
Right.
So you're right.
And then also that, and even if you don't need the long-term care, let's say you're pretty well set with your, financial situation, but you sign yourself up for that. What if your children are not able, default on the loan? Who are they coming after? You. Right. And you can end up losing your current home because of that. And then now it's all downhill from there, right? So you have to be very careful. The gift to the children, it's a big item.
I'm changing the lock on the front door.
Not that, but I understand though. Sometimes, sometimes you want to help. So I always suggest my client that, okay, if you want to help out with the children or the grandchildren, set up an account for them separately. So you kind of give them money, and that way you don't really relate it to any, liability issues. You can always open up a college education fund for your grandchildren. But before you do that, also looking at your situation, whether you can afford it, have other, bucket fulfilled first, right? So that's like we talk about all these 6 items already about people that commonly overlook. I think there's maybe something else too that we, didn't have a chance to talk about today. But with your experience at work with, people in retirement, is there anything else that you want to add on? Some item that?
I think that pretty well covers it. But the biggest thing is to plan ahead and work with an expert, and not just go happily into retirement without thinking ahead. And I mean that, because if you do plan ahead, then you really can enjoy retirement.
Right. And then when you do plan ahead here, that's a good idea for you, and that's a good, suggestion for you to tell all the people that you work with, that you coach them to plan for retirement, plan to see if you want to sell your business, have a long-term plan for that. But I also want to make sure that when you plan for these, the factor that you really have to put in, the two things important. Number one, it's inflation. Think about that, because everybody think in today's dollars, and they don't think that, oh wow, things gonna be more expensive 10 years down the road. Bottom line is, historically factor in 3% inflation rate, and if you can't come up with that number yourself, sit down with a financial professional and ask them, okay, this is my current budget today, I want to maintain this, how much do I need 10 years from now, with inflation, so they can always calculate that for you.
Well, it's just because you need somebody outside, because you don't think of everything. And part of it's just because it's your life. And
Right.
so you're not, there's certain things that you wouldn't have thought about. And it's just, planning to me is so important.
Yeah. And talk it over with somebody else. They may poke a hole in your
Yes,
plan,
yes,
right? Say here and
exactly,
there.
exactly.
And then you can see where the lead coming in. And I know that also one other thing, especially people who invest in the market. The market have risk. If you buy stock, bond, or even an annuity, or even in the bank can also go, bankrupt too, or even though they have FDIC certain limit insurance for their money. But when you're planning for the money and you're planning for your investment, you have to put in the risk factor, the market volatility. Think about how much level of risk that you can take. It's very important, because if you invest too aggressively and the market is so volatile and you can't sleep at night, make you nervous, that's also bringing another health issues, right?
That's true.
So you're
That's
either going to have your
true.
money, but then you don't have your health. That's
And you may not live long enough to recoup whatever, because I know a lot of people will invest in real estate too, but they may invest at a point where they paid a fairly high price. And then if things tank, then that's really something and they need that money. It's tied up in the real estate.
That's what
They
happened
can't
in
sell it.
2007, 2008, right?
Exactly.
That's why we have a lot of people that was out of place, no home, they lost
Yes.
everything. And that's why financial planning, especially for retirement, you have to take into the account of all these inflation risks, the market volatility, how much is your money are concentrating in certain area, diversify, right? So you don't want to tie up all your money in just particular type of investment. Yeah, and that's complicated, that's getting complicated. So it's always a good idea to sit down with financial professional before your retirement, okay?
Before trouble hits. That's
Right. Well, thank you, Drue, for being here with us today. It was fun. It was really fun. That's it for today's episode of Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez. As a financial advisor, I'm here to help you. So if you have any questions or comments, send it to me by email to emmy@ehfinancial.com. Don't forget, if you miss any part of the show, you can watch us again on ehfinancial.com or crowncitynetwork.com. Remember, being smart with your money, it's easy, and you can do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time right here on Smart Money with Emmy Hernandez.